I wasn't planning to write tonight, not after the 5 o'clock deadline passed without an update, not with search teams still moving carefully through the Catalina foothills, checking every trail and wash for the 9th straight day, not with investigators continuing to review digital messages that have surfaced during this ordeal, and certainly not with Savannah Guthrie's steady voice from that second video still echoing in my mind, the calm but resolute, "We will do whatever it takes." But then came a call this morning from someone I've known since my early days covering network news, a person who has shared long nights and breaking stories with Lester Holt for years. "Lester spoke this morning," the source said quietly. It was private, but it was honest, and it changes how you see this. A private conversation at 30 Rock. The conversation happened in a quiet conference room inside 30 Rockefeller Plaza. No cameras, no publicists, just a small circle of longtime colleagues and friends who have known Lester beyond the anchor desk. At 66, the steady voice of NBC nightly news has guided the country through crises with calm clarity. But those present said he looked more reflective than usual. Not shaken, not dramatic, just thoughtful. He spoke carefully, weighing each word as though aware that context matters when emotions are high. This wasn't about rumor or speculation, it wasn't about investigative detail, it was about perspective. About understanding why Savannah Guthrie has responded the way she has during an unimaginably difficult time, and about the deeper influences that shaped her long before this moment. Framing strength before judging it. Lester didn't begin with anecdotes, he began with context. Savannah didn't just inherit drive, he reportedly said. She inherited a blueprint. He spoke about the influence of her mother, Nancy Guthrie. Not in a sensational way, but in a human one. According to him, Nancy modeled resilience through lived experience. After losing her husband young, she carried forward with determination, raising her children with structure and discipline. Strength wasn't something she described abstractly, it was something she demonstrated daily. Lester suggested that this example left a lasting imprint. Savannah grew up watching composure under pressure, watching perseverance without complaint, watching someone meet hardship by organizing it, not collapsing beneath it. That upbringing, he said, shaped how she approaches everything, including this painful chapter. Compartmentalizing as a survival skill. Lester reflected on moments from earlier in Savannah's career. Long before she became a household name, he noticed a particular trait. When life outside the newsroom became overwhelming, she didn't unravel publicly. She focused. She compartmentalized. It wasn't coldness, he said. It was reflex. In high-pressure journalism, that reflex can be an asset. It keeps you steady during breaking news. It allows you to ask clear questions when others might freeze. But in personal crisis, that same instinct can look unusual from the outside. Lester described her approach as structured rather than reactive. She waits. She gathers facts. She speaks deliberately. To some viewers, that might seem distant. To those who know her, it aligns with the lessons she absorbed early. Respond thoughtfully, don't react impulsively. Maintain clarity even when emotions run deep. The structure. Behind the public statements, observers have analysed Savannah's public videos closely. Lester reportedly encouraged people to watch them again, not to critique tone, but to understand pattern. Each message begins with gratitude, moves to context, then addresses next steps. It is organised, measured, almost like a broadcast segment. That's training, he explained. Years of reporting have conditioned her to communicate in sequence. Acknowledge, inform, request, action. In moments of fear, she leans into familiarity. Structure provides steadiness, and steadiness is something she has always associated with strength. Lester emphasized that this does not mean emotion is absent. It may mean emotion is carefully contained. For someone raised to believe composure signals control, presenting herself calmly might feel like the most loving, responsible thing she can do under extraordinary strain. The faith that anchors. Endurance. Lester also spoke about faith, a cornerstone in Savannah's upbringing. Nancy's belief system emphasized endurance, hope, and trust in God's guidance. Savannah has spoken openly over the years about how her mother's faith shaped her worldview. Lester suggested that this spiritual foundation influences her language now. When she speaks of staying strong or leaning on belief, it reflects a family creed rooted in perseverance. but he was careful not to portray this as rigidity. Instead, he described it as orientation, a lens through which challenges are processed. For some families, crisis invites visible lament. For others, it invites prayerful steadiness. In Savannah's case, Lester implied, faith and discipline intertwine. They guide her to stand upright even when circumstances threaten to overwhelm. Parenting as gentle evolution. One detail Lester reportedly shared carried quiet significance. He has watched Savannah as a mother. He described her as warm, attentive, and openly affectionate with her children. She lets them feel, he said. Where earlier generations may have equated stoicism with strength, Savannah appears to blend resilience with tenderness. That observation reframes the narrative entirely. Rather than being trapped in inherited expectations, she may already be evolving them. Offering her children space to express sadness or fatigue suggests growth beyond strict models of composure. Lester saw this not as contradiction, but as progress, a natural adaptation many parents make when reflecting on their own upbringing. In that sense, this moment is not only a test of strength, it is part of a longer journey toward balance. Why public emotion isn't the only measure. Much public commentary has centered on what Savannah has or hasn't displayed emotionally. Lester urged caution. People process trauma differently. Some cry openly. Others focus on logistics. Neither response is inherently more authentic. We shouldn't script someone else's grief, he reportedly said. The expectation that pain must look a certain way can add unnecessary pressure. Savannah's measured tone may not signal detachment, it may signal effort, the effort to remain functional while coordinating with authorities, supporting family, and navigating national scrutiny. Lester's larger point was simple. Empathy should lead. Before labeling composure as unnatural, consider the life experiences that cultivated it. Strength often looks quiet, and quiet does not mean unfeeling. The hope for healing, not reckoning. Despite the serious tone of the conversation, Lester's reflections were not bleak. They were hopeful. He expressed belief that whatever the outcome, healing conversations will matter deeply. Not confrontations, not reckonings, but honest exchanges about love and expectation, about resilience and rest. Everyone deserves permission to just be, he said. It wasn't directed solely at Savannah or Nancy. It was broader than that, a reminder that many adults carry invisible scorecards from childhood, expectations they still try to meet decades later. Recognizing those patterns can be freeing. Lester's words suggested that compassion, not judgment, is what Savannah will need most in the days ahead. Holding space instead of headlines. As the search continues and updates unfold, it's easy for commentary to drift toward drama. Lester's private conversation served as a counterweight to that impulse. He wasn't unveiling secrets. He wasn't casting blame. He was offering insights shaped by decades of observation and friendship. Savannah Guthrie, in his view, is not performing strength for spectacle. She is leaning on the tools she was given: discipline, faith, composure, because those tools have carried her through every challenge before. Whether or not the public sees tears does not determine the depth of feeling. What matters now is support, patience, and understanding. Sometimes the most compassionate response is not louder analysis, but quiet solidarity. And perhaps that is the truth Lester hoped would endure long after the conference room emptied.